Okay, Erin.
Yes,
my girl. My
yes.
girl. I know. I'm so happy to sit down and talk with you because Bites of the Bluegrass has really blown up over the last few years. And I had heard that you went to visit Lex and you said, hey, I want to do this. And they were on board. So how did you really get started? Because I feel like you're such a part of the fabric of the community of Lexington that you've been here forever, but it's hard to believe it's only been a little over a few years.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, it was May of, what year are we in, 2022.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was on a food tour when it occurred to me that I should do something like this in our own city. But my husband/assistant, Greg, if you've been on a tour, you've probably met him. We love going on food tours. We went on one in Montreal. It was like, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago. And I walked away going, I never would have known these things or found these restaurants, and it created such a nice memory for us about Montreal that we went back the next summer and we went on another tour. And we've gone on like 50 food tours as a great way to start a vacation. And I was sitting on one in Nashville and I looked at Greg and said, why have we not gone on one in our own city? And as I Googled it, there wasn't one. And I said, I want to start a food tour. And so I did. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew that COVID must have been so hard for all these restaurants.
Yeah.
And we have so many great local places, especially in our beautiful walkable downtown. I was like, I want to help walk people into their doors. And I don't know a ton about these folks. I bet there's a lot to learn.
Right.
And it turns out there was. And then I thought, okay, we're gonna have to tell some really great stories along the way. Our city's been around forever, turning 250 coming up.
I know, that's crazy.
So crazy.
We've been around before Kentucky was even a state. Is that correct?
That's correct. 1775, statehood was 1792. So a good hot minute before we were a state. Anyway, but and I thought, I bet there are a lot of fascinating stories and events, people that have come out of the city, and boy, is that an understatement. And I'm still learning things every single day, and I'm down a rabbit hole I'm never gonna get out of.
Yeah.
In fact, this very space has a huge story. But anyway, I got a group of people together, some restaurants. I stalked them into submission, basically.
Oh yeah, you were a hustler, okay? Like, cause I'm sure they were like, what do you mean food tour? Who is this lady?
That's exactly what happened.
This larger than life personality. I think it's a no-brainer. If you're gonna bring in 12 to 25 people in my doors, why not sign up? But I understand the people's hesitancy. It takes them a while to catch on.
Well, and it also sounded a little too good to be true, I guess, maybe. And some people were very unfamiliar with the food tour as part of tourism at all.
Wow.
So just helping people understand what I was trying to do and how it would work. But I got a little group together, and then I said I would love to use a visitor center. So I just hopped online and found Mary Quinn Raymer's name, and I just sent her an email. And I guess, thank goodness, I don't mind to hear the word no. And I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself. It's probably the best thing I got going for me. But Mary Quinn wrote back right away, and she said, please use the visitor center and come in here and tell us about what your plan is. And couldn't have been more warm and welcoming. And that's when I met Erin Hilton and the great people at Visit Lex, and they embraced me and lifted my wings up from the very get-go. And it made the biggest difference, and it made me feel like I was supposed to be here.
Yeah, I think so too. One of the kind of through lines that we have with talking with people is that really championing behind it. You're actually making our jobs easier. I say that to everybody, but it's so true. And when Mary Quinn kind of tells the story, we say it to journalists and how we're pitching, because it's part of the story, even though you share so many other people's stories. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, a food tour, I'm just going and trying bites downtown, but really the history is, I think, some of the best part of it, because I'm learning so much about the city and state that I grew up in, and you're always able to tie it. So how do you keep all of this in your head? Because you have so many different experiences and tours, but you're just a knowledge, you're full of history.
Well, history to me is just gossip that really happened. And this girl loves some gossip.
Yes.
But And also, I think about, I don't know who said it, I think Banksy or somebody said we have two deaths, one, the actual death, and then when people quit saying your name.
Yeah.
And there are so many people and stories that deserve to be told throughout time, and so many sitting around here that have not been told, especially from marginalized groups. And it's very important for people to feel seen. And it was very much an intentional part of my business plan to be inclusive with history and recognize all of the pieces that have created this community, the one that we love so much, right?
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts, the stereotype that we are often combined with, and so many cities have one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we wear shoes here.
I promise.
We're this great inclusive city.
I promise it's more diverse than you think. No, but that's one of the things that even from a tourism perspective that we're overcoming, but you're making it easier because you're sharing these stories. That is one of the first things I recognized with going on the tour. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday.
And I was just shocked at how inclusive it was, because I feel like for so long, so many stories were untold.
Right.
And I mean, how do you come up with the different tours?
Well, I pretty much just think about what I would want to go on, and then I create it. And of course, at the center of all this is always fun. That is my number one objective, is to make sure that it's fun, and I want people to feel welcome. My favorite thing to say is, I'm so happy you're here. In fact, Martina, I'm so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
And thanks for including me. I mean, who doesn't want to feel welcomed and included? And that's what I want visitors to know about this city. And you do such a brilliant job of bringing these folks here and all these journalists. And that's the takeaway, is how nice we are. And it's true. And if you can highlight all these special people along the way and these things that, and it's easy to keep all of this in my head because I couldn't be more interested. I mean, to find out that General Gordon Granger, and thinking about the Black History Tour, the very guy who marched into Texas to emancipate the final 250,000 that led to Jubilee Day, that led to Juneteenth, he's buried at our cemetery. And why don't we know this? He was married to a woman from Lexington. So piecing all this together and creating this narrative and mixing it in with fun and food and some cocktails along the way, it really brings the streets to life. And so as I'm walking around downtown, I'm seeing Sweet Evening Breeze walking in front of me, and I'm watching these stories pour out of the windows, and it makes all the biggest difference, and it really creates an incredible connection, and certainly for me, just bursting pride of place.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about just being able to feel and see the history and learn about the history and being able to elevate these partners, that's one of the big takeaways I really love, is that you are highlighting so many local businesses that, need it. And I feel like we work with a lot of partners with Visit Lex, which we refer to our businesses here as partners. How has that experience been with cultivating those relationships?
Oh gosh, that's like one of the most rewarding parts.
Yeah.
I love the guests, but I also love all of those hardworking people in hospitality. I mean, there are so many creative chefs and so many people who care about unreasonable hospitality and really have made it their life's mission to solve the hardest question for all of us each day, and that's what's for dinner. And just getting to know more about their concepts and the stories behind the buildings they're in. Like right now, I'm on a rabbit hole about John G. Epping. I mean, I'm pulling out all these newspaper articles. John G. Epping was known for these huge Christmas bonuses every year. He gave out $30,000 to his employees, not one at a time, but he had so many sodas that he tried, but Orange Crush was one of them that worked. And he had a program on the radio called Crushies, and he gave away a bicycle every day. And then he gave away like 30 sets of jacks, 30 jump ropes. Just learning about all these people when you're in that space, it feels so different to know all of this. And when I'm sitting in Epping's, I feel the hustle and bustle of the bottles clanking and what it must have been like in that time. And it just really allows you to get a whole new lens on the city, that's for sure. And then getting connected to, the kitchens and the staff, it really makes us all feel like we're part of a community and that we're serving people, which is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I mean, is there any particular partnership that jumps out at you that what I've noticed, it might start business, but you end up at family at the end of the day. Is there any relationship that you've built over these last few years that's worth noting?
People that visit Lex.
I mean, you can give us our flowers. I'm never going to turn it down. But outside of us,
yeah, of course, so many. And in fact, some of my closest friends are today from these relationships. Avina Kiley of the Grove, she's one of my closest friends. I love that Irish gal. Yeah. And she's someone else who cares so much about hospitality and elevating women, small business owners, and collectives. And she's creating another community like this in our downtown right now that'll open soon. And then of course, Chef Lita Michael.
Yes.
Someone who has long inspired me. And I stalked her at a book signing once and said, hey, I'm starting this food tour. I'd love for you to be part of it. She couldn't have been more welcoming. And now all of my food tour dreams have come true because we share a tour together out in Woodford County. And so there are more stories to tell, and we're able to, I can be a part of highlighting what she's worked so hard to build. And she has long been someone who is a leader within our food community and just community at all.
I mean, she's a leader on an international level when it comes to this culinary industry. So I love that you've been able to really cultivate these relationships to more than just transactional and more than just business. And I think it speaks to you as a person. And even talking about Avina, I mean, we're right above the Grove at Cocktail University, which there's a lot about this space, and it's also featured on some of your tours. So talk to us about Cocktail University for a little bit.
Well, we are actually sitting in our city's first opera house. This building started construction in 1849, and it opened on New Year's Day to a concert in 1850. But it was January 23rd that it was like the Taylor Swift Eras tour, because this was P.T. Barnum and General Tom Thumb at a whopping 2 feet 9 inches, just shy of his 18th birthday. Charles Stratton was a sensation. And then of course, Jenny Lind, the Nightingale voice that would hypnotize her audience. I mean, they performed in this space that was once the Grand Hall. Yeah. I mean, all of these walls in downtown Lexington are made of limestone, of course, and then also like horsehair and all these things. Tell us so much about society at the time, and it allows me to imagine what it must have felt like. And then there's lots of twists, like John Wilkes Booth performed in this space in October of 1862, right during a time when he was making $600,000 a year on a national tour. He'd been hailed as the handsomest man in America, a natural genius, and he was wearing a dead lady's hair. Come on a tour, I'll tell you all about it. But there's so much to talk about here, and this was an opportunity to fill a niche that is certainly one that could be an opportunity for a lot more fun for visitors and locals, and that's to come make some cocktails.
I know.
I'm sure we'll see in a minute that there's some beautiful murals in this space that are done by Wiley Cottle. I love the way that our community comes together, and Wiley's a perfect example of that, from the custom suits that he paints that are worn on stages by Silas House, and it just makes me go Lexington!
Yes, I love how connected everyone is, and I think when people will watch this series, they'll see like everybody's always mentioning each other, because it really is an ecosystem of community from start to finish, and you'll be able to see, I think, one of the things when I take so many people on your tours that they appreciate is the connectivity of like, oh, well, we did go to this horse farm and you talked about X, Y, and Z on this food tour, but then we went to see a farmer, the farmer's market, and meet where that produce came from. But when we talk about the experience of the tour, for people who haven't taken the tours and people who will take the tours, what are the top 3 things that they can expect?
Well, you can definitely expect to learn a lot. This is not the run-of-the-mill kind of history that you're going to find in a textbook. We have dug deep, I have dug deep and done the work. And it's really like, I love connecting people. I love connecting stories. It's like a little puzzle, and it comes naturally to me. So I'm just creating this narrative and learning so many things about your city. You can definitely expect that. You can expect to have some great food.
Yes.
All the food's magically waiting for you as we come along.
It's filling. Like, I say it's bites, but I tell people, I'm like, it's a progressive dinner.
You're absolutely right. We show love through casseroles here. So I try to get restaurants to serve less. They just won't do it. And everybody wants to represent their plates in a great way. So you're gonna eat a lot of food. And I couldn't do it without the restaurant partners. And I'm so proud that we all work together And everyone is so happy to see us, and customers feel that. And it's all arranged ahead of time. So we're just on this afternoon dinner party where the food's just magically there.
Yeah.
And we spend a little time eating it and we move on. And the third thing you can expect is to have fun. This is meant to be a communal experience, and it's so rewarding for me that we'll all start off as strangers, but very quickly we become friends.
Oh my
and
goodness.
by halfway through, people are sitting with different tables. They're not hanging out with who they came with, and they're exchanging numbers at the end, and that's the whole point.
You know how many people I've met on your tours?
Do you know how many people I've met on these tours?
And I'm just like, oh, and then we end up like exchanging social media accounts, and like, and when I run into them or see them online or anything like that, I always think back to the experience that we had at Bites of the Bluegrass.
Oh, thanks.
So, I mean, you're always working on something, whether it's a new tour, a new experience, cocktail classes at Cocktail University, concierge services, you're partnering with different businesses on different events coming up.
Yep. What
keeps you going? What's the motivation? Because even listing all that off, like, I need a nap for you.
Well, I'm busy knows busy.
Yeah.
You understand. But I don't know what else I'd rather do.
Yeah.
I love this so much. And it doesn't feel like work because it's truly fun, just creating experiences that I want to go to myself, and I'm there to run them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep my social calendar busy, that's all. And I just have limitless ideas about what we can do on this beautiful stage that we have here in the city. And a lot of partners are just a phone call away. And I love thinking up all kinds of things to do. And I've got a lot more space and freedom this year because of Cocktail University, where we're sitting now. I can do whatever I want.
I know, and I love that freedom to create, and you're only growing and getting better. Over the last few years, what has been the biggest change that you've enjoyed seeing, and what would you want to see improve?
The biggest change is getting some other tour guides.
Yes.
That's been great. It's my dumb face on everything because it was just me for a long time, and I really was careful about how I scaled growth. But I thought it would be a cute side hustle, but it got big fast, and I'm really grateful for that. I've been lucky enough to find some of the best guides, people with theater backgrounds and a passion for the city like myself, and I've got a great team. Mm-hmm. So now I can't wait to branch off and do some more things as I have more players in the game. Things to do better. I would love we have lots of great restaurants downtown, but I would love to see a couple more, especially like within the dessert space downtown. It's a dessert desert around here a little bit.
It is. It's like, can I get something? Well, there are some, you can get some sweets, but like something like dedicated and focused on that. We might have to, we interviewed Tao, we might have to like
I was gonna
get
say,
her to.
I've got Tao in the Distillery District, and I love Tao so much. And talk about another just incredible example of somebody who created this fantastic business. I mean, from a $60 Cuisinart machine, she created an ice cream empire. I mean, what a queen.
You know what is so funny and how you know so much history and you retain so much information is that she talked about that. I mean, it's part of her story, but the fact that you know other partners' stories, and it's not just about you. Like,
well, that's sweet, but I think about Tao all the time. I think it's incredible what she's done. And you know, you can buy her ice cream right here in Lexington. She's probably filling a pint right now.
Yeah.
And it can ship anywhere through Gold Belly, and she's become, just known on it in a national way. And she's made it a priority to partner with local farmers and other chefs, and she's always elevating people as she goes. And that is an example everywhere you go in this community of collaborative spaces, of people partnering to create the best product and experience. And I love that. And who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Obviously. And one of the things, like even throughout this whole conversation, is that you are great at telling other people's stories. You're great at singing their praises. But when we talk about the profile and biography of people, what do people not know about Erin Goins? What is something within you? You talk so highly of everyone else, but what is something that people might be shocked to discover or find out about you? I know you're an open book. You're a larger than life personality. There's not much. You don't hide much.
No.
But what would people be surprised to know or anything that you want to reiterate?
That's a great question. I was just going to say, I don't keep much to myself.
No.
I love to talk, and I am definitely an open book. Oh, I don't know.
I know, I put you on the spot.
You did.
I know.
I don't have an answer.
I've never seen you have a loss for words.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, I guess one thing that you may not know about me is that I deal with the same insecurities that anybody else does, that, you know, I get imposter syndrome just like anyone else. But then I just tell myself to get over it and step out.
Push through.
Step out on a stage or anywhere else. But, you know, as I was starting this and as I'm going into this next year with some new ideas and entering some new spaces, there's the voice in the back of my head that's like, you know, well, nobody's gonna want to do that, or of course. And I'm still worried when I put on a new experience. Will anybody buy a ticket?
Yeah.
And then of course they do. But I go through that just like anyone else, I guess.
I mean, I guess I never, you know that everyone goes through it, but because you move with such confidence,
yes,
that I think some people don't take that into consideration.
I'm totally faking it.
I mean, aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Does anybody ever know what they're doing?
No.
I for sure don't.
And that's what I remind myself anytime I'm feeling that way. I'm like, no, we're all just trying our best.
Yeah.
And that gives me enough confidence to move forward. And seeing it reflected in the restaurant partners I have and all the hospitality partners, it gives me the confidence to move forward and just give it my best. And I know I won't always make everyone happy, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah, I mean, I think having that might feel like a pie in the sky idea to a lot of people, but the fact that, you know, that is the goal, is to bring joy and happiness when you could easily be as selfish as you want to be is amazing. And you know, I know you talk about the history, but you know, wrapping this up, what do you want people to say about Erin in history books?
Oh, that's something interesting to think about.
Because you are creating history, like we're living it right now, and these are the stories. What you're creating, nice, I hope it lives beyond. But what do you want history to say about Miss Erin Goins?
Well, I will tell you, I don't tell the same story on many tours. It's different history because I'm really careful in making sure that if you come back, I'm gonna not give you the same song and dance. It's gonna be something different. But there's one person I talk about on every tour, or one persona, and that's Smiley Pete. And you know, Smiley Pete was our city's dog, and he had this routine, and people loved seeing him. And just trotting up and down the streets with this giant tooth-bearing grin, and he's left this legacy of being the downtown ambassador and a reason to come downtown and part of something that felt good. So I would love nothing more than to be remembered as a Smiley Pete kind of gal. And I did just win Smiley Pete Award this year. I feel very accomplished about this.
Oh my gosh.
There's no greater award than this one for me.
I've never seen you so excited about receiving an accolade other than
my work is done.
Publishing award.
I don't need an Oscar or anything else. I've already accomplished everything I came to do. But no, I would love to be just remembered as someone who brought a community together and who highlighted stories that are important and had been overlooked and left a positive impact.
Hey, I think you're already doing it, and we appreciate you. So cheers to you. Cheers to Bites of the Bluegrass and Cocktail University.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Erin.
Horse running, you're like a horse running.